We'll talk with Joint Mayor-elect Bill Kinga. Good morning. 7:19. Also slated later in this hour, Lieutenant Governor of Guam, Josh Tenorio. But first, before we go to Adelup, let's go to the Guam Congress Hall and check in with the minority leader, Senator Telo Taitague. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning, Chris. And Sabrina, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
What's going on with you guys for session this week?
Well, we go in at 10 a.m. this morning. We have 4 bills on the agenda. First bill is from Kelly Marshall with regards to rip currents with the Department of
what are we doing? Are we making rip currents illegal?
I have no idea. Or is it? Yeah, that's true. Well, no. Basically, it's just a program within Department of Parks and Rec. The only concern I really have here is that the original bill that was introduced had the Department of Recs, provide everything from brochures and signage and things like that. And that all costs money. Mm-hmm. So, of course, Parks and Rec said, we have very low budget, not as much, when they had the public hearing the first time. So when I read the bill coming out of committee, now she puts the onus and the cost on the Fire Department, Department of Agriculture, and Guam Visitors Bureau to pay for it. So
I don't know.
That's going to be an issue too. I mean, and it says shall. So I'm going to make a little amendment there. I don't think this is priority right now to put programs together to say, okay, the current is bad in this area, and hiking is be careful to hike in that area.
Oh, yeah.
So I think there's some priority needed. Yeah. The other bill that we're looking at that's been put on the agenda is, I believe it's Senator
Peter Terlahi's bill?
Peter Terlahi, yes. And this is on the both
allowing choice.
Providing to, just needed to take a drink there. Providing to the option for 2 insurance companies during the health insurance negotiations to provide a choice. And this is very controversial. We're hearing, oh my God, I think I've had like 80% to 85% of the people who sent in testimonies in favor of it because of the problems that they're having with Aetna. It becomes very difficult getting referrals from individuals, from Aetna. And when a person is sick and they're told they need an operation right away, they shouldn't have to wait 3 weeks just to get a referral. Things like that are happening all the time. Reimbursements are not coming in. And when you're going through any kind of medical issues, finances should be the least of your worry, as well as, trying to get a referral when the doctor's standing by ready for the appointment. They can't do anything because the insurance company is not answering your questions. We have to really look at priority here. I mean, it's no amount of money is going to bring back time, that you've having to wait. So this is going to be very a good heated debate on the floor. We have DOA who had brought in testimony, and of course they're in the middle of negotiations right now. And if you stop the flow of this, it may disrupt. So there's some pros, cons, there's concerns, issues, but it all boils down to, the call of the people wanting that choice. Tired of having to deal with an insurance company that's off island instead of here. We've been, I guess, I shouldn't say spoiled. We've been treated much better when it comes to health insurance on Guam than what we've been treated this last year with Aetna. So there's really a discrepancy there.
Yeah, I'm looking at the committee report, and it's three to pass and 5, I think, to report out only. Yeah,
I'm curious to see what the other senators have to say about that.
I know in the past it used to be when you got the committee report, it broke down like who recommended to pass and who, it broke it down, but it's not in here.
Oh, it usually does.
If you go further down,
all the way down
to the bottom, usually it's all together. I as well just go all the way to the bottom, and you'll look into that. And then you have the other bill that's coming up by Senator Torres, and this is, the lease protection for tenants and from family violence. And what this bill basically does is, in the event there's a family domestic violence, and Of course, if someone was removed from the house for this domestic violence, that, or, okay, it's easier to give an example. A couple, they have a fight, the guy is abusive, or the female, I don't want to be biased here, it could go either way these days, but in the event she wants to get out and move away and get away from her abuser or his abuser, then she would not be liable for any the lease, breaking the lease, or any damages caused.
Mm-hmm.
So my concern here, and I think I've reiterated in the public hearing, that in the event that should happen, you can't leave the landlord responsible for something like that. Somebody has to be responsible. And in a situation like this, if you're going to go to court for small claims for the damages for someone else, then the other person must testify against the other person, because that's the only way you're going to be able to get damages. Right. So, and sometimes when you go into domestic abuses like this, they don't want to get involved. They just want to run away and not be a part of it. So who leaves the damages in their hands, or the cost of these damages in their hands? The landlord. So there's got to be a win-win here. The landlord has to be able to recover any kind of damages. I don't think there would be a problem with letting go of a lease if there's a domestic violence in there. Most landlords are very sympathetic to the issue and really don't want that kind of activity in their apartment building anyways. Someone can seriously get hurt, for that. The other one, of course, is a very controversial bill coming up. And there's only 4 bills that have actually placed on the agenda. The other bills are about 9 other bills, but it doesn't have a committee report at the time of Committee on Rules. And the other bill is Bill 71, and this is lifting the weight restrictions on roadways. Now, we've had a huge public hearing on this, and it was a while ago. Businesses coming in claiming that the cost of goods are high because they have to make more trips to commercial port to bring their goods to their businesses because of the weight restrictions. So if you're having a container that is not even halfway full because of the weight restrictions, you got to go back again. That's time, that's gas, and that's what this one is all about, is lifting those restrictions. Now, there's so many things in this bill, and I hope Senator Moylan is prepared, to talk about this regarding the weight restrictions and what it does to the roadways. This can cause, more damage to our roads, or does it really provide? Well, how do you? Because there's a lot involved here. You're talking about the axles, where the wheels are located, the double wheels on the truck, balancing it out, allowing the additional weight. Does it really do as much damage as they say it's doing? Is it about the bridges that have been, the bridges that they're crossing over? Does it allow trucks to not going into village roads that would cause more damages when you're using top coats for these roads that are really not, even a regular pickup truck can damage our roads like we're seeing. Mm-hmm. So there has to be a balance on this. Is this really going to, and the question I asked all those people who came in to testify in favor of this bill, which are, of course, wholesalers, and asked them, okay, are you going to lower your prices? You're saying you raise your prices because of the restrictions on the weight on the road is causing you to raise your price because you're having to take more trips back and forth. Are you going to lower prices? And they said, yes, we would lower our prices.
What about the double pay, Senator? How do you think all these double pay, what's the debate going to be like on that?
It's not even on the agenda.
I know, right, but what are you anticipating when it comes?
Well, I think what we have to be very cautious right now on those bills, those 4 bills, because we're in court right now regarding it. And I think if we wait to see what the courts are coming out with and what they're required, then I think we need to go to that direction. We've already received an AG's opinion, and some people are not happy with what their opinion is, so now they're taking it to court. So the court is going to decide at this point if it is required that double pay is needed or not needed is by law that they're entitled to. So I think we want to be cautious about that and wait to see the decision of the court before we do anything.
What about the second part to that oversight hearing that your colleague Senator Sabina Perez had? The famous, there's so much that happened in that oversight hearing, and I feel like
so much.
At the end of it, there was a commitment, I thought, that they were going to have another one.
Yeah, I hadn't heard anything from Senator Sabina at all for Perez.
Right.
Taken that
You think a second part is warranted, Senator? Because I felt like there were so many questions that went unanswered.
One thing I do know is that I think she's creating legislation to correct anything that is questionable, anything that we need to address that would make it clear by law what the powers are, what are the requirements needed. I think that she's trying to do that. And I know that Senator Perez has been working with Attorney Brown when it comes to introducing some type of legislation in procurement, and that was a while ago. I really didn't see anything that she has an intention of having a second.
Because there was a big.
You don't think?
Oversight.
Did you say you don't?
I don't.
We'll
she
ask
would
her.
have put it out.
Yeah.
I mean, I think she would have put it out. You guys are great at getting information.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, one of the questions that remains unanswered was the involvement of the Homeland Security Advisor, Tim Uggan.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's right.
they basically threw him under the bus, and we were watching the clips again this weekend.
Yeah, we were. There was one with who was asking the question? Oh, actually, no. It was a statement that was read by the governor's legal counsel,
right.
Attorney Hai Hin, as to why all of a sudden he came into the picture. Do we have that sound? We can go.
Yeah, we do. Wait, which one?
It's the shorter soundbite where Hai was reading the statement from the governor. He was going through a chronology of what transpired.
Are we going with is this the one with Senator Amanda? And
No. That's
the other one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you ready? Yeah. Senator, we're going to put you on hold and play this clip and then get your 2 cents on it when we come back.
Okay, absolutely. Right. Thank you.
Okay.
March 17th, 2020. It was discovered that the Homeland Security Advisor had not procured quarantine or isolation facilities as previously reported. Homeland Security's reliance on condemning a certain hotel was not approved. Legal counsels were instructed to and quickly engage with the Guam Hotel and Restaurant Association, GHRA, to seek hotel properties willing to serve as quarantine sites. GHRA was later able to report that only the Days Inn, Wyndham Garden, Santa Fe, Perlis Court, and Pacific Star responded. All those facilities were ultimately utilized.
You know, Senator, I know that this was one issue that you had brought up during the virtual oversight hearing, was the fact that you had actually received messages from Mary Rhodes, and we had Mary Rhodes on the air confirming that that was 60% true, 40% false, in a sense that she was not involved at all with Perlis Court for the simple fact that Perlis Court isn't even a member of JHRA and Pacific Star. But having heard this, have you heard anything else about Homeland Security dropping the ball, at least as per the governor's office, or anything else that was going on?
Well, I have to tell you, and divulge to you that I did get a text from Homeland Security Director
Tim Uggan.
Again.
Yeah. What did that text say? Because I got some text from him too.
He texted me and said that I heard that you're looking for me.
I think a lot of people are looking for.
This was like how many days after this hearing,
right?
So I text back and I said yes. Is there what's up? Because he says, I heard you're looking for me. I said, yes. Is there anything you want to say? And things. So he texts back and texts me. In fact, let me pull that up. And I have to tell you,
I thought it was interesting that he wasn't even there.
Yeah, I don't know
at the
if that was
oversight
just
hearing.
It was an oversight on the oversight, or.
Yeah. Hold on one second.
Or if it was intentional not to have him there. I mean, come on. How could you not have Homeland Security there? He's the assistant, or Tony Vivalta is the GAR, and then he's the assistant or substitute GAR or something like that.
Can you refresh my memory? Did Senator Paris say that he was invited to the hearing?
Yes, everybody was invited. Yes,
Okay.
I know she did her due diligence and made sure she called everybody. So it says Health Day Center. I was watching KUAM Facebook when you were on. I think that she wanted to contact me. So he sends, and then he moves on to say that then he deletes his text. After I read it, and it wasn't until like 10 minutes later he deletes his text.
Can you speak to the phone, Senator?
Well, all in that, I didn't have a chance to like really soak it in and absorb it, or even screenshot something like this. But I think it was to effect that what was said during that oversight hearing on procurement and what Hyatt said was not true.
Or at least according to Tim, it wasn't true, right?
So according to Tim,
Right,
it was
yeah.
not true. So I asked him. So that was sent around 2:26 p.m. on a Tuesday. And so then I asked him, hey, Tyson, could you please give me a call? I'm not a big fan of texting back and forth. Hope you don't mind. So, he says, I'm actually tied up right now, and that's why I'm texting. I'll call you tomorrow if that's okay with you. And I said, tomorrow's fine. Take care. And then I never got a call back from him. And then when I looked back at the text, he had deleted it. So there is something very fishy going on there, and I'm looking forward to talking to Tim again to get his side of the story. And why would he delete that text after telling me what, so that what Hyatt said was not true? I mean, we heard from Mary Torres. That was the first indication that Hyatt was not telling the truth as well. Mm-hmm. Mary Torres said her side of the story, and thank goodness she came on.
And you mean Mary Rhodes? Yeah.
I mean Mary Rhodes.
Yeah. There were a few times that he was contradicted, and I was like, at first he said he wasn't leading the procurement, and then Linda DeNorsi was like, yeah, he was leading the procurement. It was kind of funny.
Have you ever had him on the show? Because We tried,
and we were told that the only way we could get the governor's legal counsel is if we agreed that the interview would be off the record, and any answer that we wanted on the record, they would then bring in the policy director, Carlo Branch, to speak for the legal counsel, which is the most hairbrained, nonsensical malarkey I ever heard in my life. Yeah. I've never heard of.
Not transparent.
And they tried to pass this off to other media. We weren't the only one that this sort of a deal was offered to. And
just like,
that's not something we would agree to ever.
Are you like a grown man? You can't answer questions. It just was really, really. And I told Carlo, I was like, this is ridiculous, dude. And then he was like, oh, another media agreed to do it, thinking that we were going to be like, okay, sign us up. But then no one ended up doing it.
Mm-hmm. Here's a question, too, as well, with regards to not the procurement, but the funds that were used to pay for the Pacific Star. Now, was that funds from the general fund? Or was that CARES Act fund? Mm-hmm. Now, if it was CARES Act fund, the biggest concern that the government should have is when pursuing the procurement of, or how it was procured, or what was behind it as they negotiated, because it's federal funds, then this could be easily investigated. It doesn't have to be investigated by the legislature. It could be investigated by the U.S. Attorney General's office that oversees anything federal, and this is federal money. Mm-hmm. So I was asking someone last week, do you know if the governor used the CARES Act when it came in to reimburse for Pacific Star, or did she directly use general funds? Because I know she was trying to seek out FEMA. Remember that conversation you had with FEMA? Right. That they were never involved from the beginning or the get-go of the negotiation of the Pacific Star. Now, if you're going to get federal funds for anything, you want them in the beginning of the loop of all this.
I wonder though, with the CARES Act funding, because there was a lot of talk when we received this about how involved the Inspector General was going to be in auditing it. So my thinking this weekend, because I was thinking about this, was, okay, it's one thing to go to the legislature and, read a statement and not answer any questions and
What I think I would like to have seen was a timeline of the electronic transfer payments on when they were made, as opposed to the timeline of how we went to procure things.
Right.
But payments, I think, and that was something that you actually brought up during the oversight hearing when you were questioning, I think it was High and then Mr. Byrne, about payments that were made prior to contracts
Right.
being signed. And Mr. Byrne had mentioned that yes, he had paid
Yep.
invoices 6 weeks prior or something like that, and
Yeah.
then he got the directive from
Yeah.
the governor, which was
Pay it all
that
up.
memo on May 8th.
Right, yeah.
And so we FOIA'd for the invoices that were paid, and we're currently going through a lot of them. And some of these invoices date all the way back to March. So we don't know at what point they were paid, but at least from the statement from Mr. Byrne, it was 6 weeks ago, which would have been 6 weeks prior to the date of that oversight hearing.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering, like I was saying, it's one thing to go to legislature and to be like, we have these superpowers, and I mean,
Right.
to offer up this interpretation that everybody seems to disagree with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's one thing to try and float it past you guys, but when Uncle Sam comes down with a red pen, I'm
Right.
wondering how much all of this unsigned, because they're not signed, they're not contracts.
And when
It's
did
not
we
signed,
get
I don't
CARES
know.
Act funding? CARES Act funding, what was mid-April?
Right, yeah.
Right,
Right.
right. Yeah, and according to this, I think it was Lester, that all the funding that was transferred out of agencies, the $7 million, was all reimbursed.
Right.
So it sounds to me like CARES money was used to pay the Pacific Star, and if you're using federal funding, then there's the green light. Say go, U.S. Attorney General. There seems to be some controversy, and if I'm not mistaken, I think someone told me that there was someone on the Fed side who did. I think it was the U.S. Attorney General's office that questioned somebody over at Homeland Security. I'm not sure on that. It was someone that just said that to me. Oh yeah, Telo, I think somebody already asked questions there. Meaning they are investigating. Now, anytime there is anything like that, and it's obvious, it's been all over the news
Right.
by the what's been going on in Pacific Star and the payments being made and the signature, this forgery that was already. Linda DeNorcia said her piece. She said that. So that's
Several
enough
times,
for her.
yeah.
Yeah, many times.
In your
And the first time
response,
was on your show.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
in your response from Tim Uggan, the HSA, did he mention anything about this condemnation? Because I know that was one of the things that High had mentioned in his statement that he read.
No, I was like, you mean with Tim? No,
Yeah.
I didn't see anything like that, and I was hoping he would call me back, but he hasn't called me back.
Well,
at all.
we got
I'm glad he reached out. I'm happy he reached out to
Yeah.
me, but now I'm pretty sure he's really, really super busy now. but
Is he back to work?
But I think, yeah.
I think he goes back to work today. Yeah. Yeah, we got a couple clips, and then we too have had conversations with the Homeland Security advisor that we're going to divulge here in the next hour as he made a commitment to call in this morning to share.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out who's the oversight of Homeland Security on the legislative side. Let me pull that up. Because the oversight chair can also call him in. If he's MIA, we can bring him out and have the same kind of oversight hearing. I am not sure who is the oversight chair, but all in all, legislative committees, and we can see who that is. I think it might be Pito, because there's public safety,
Right.
so it might be Pito Talai. He's the oversight chair of Homeland Security, and he should, do an informational briefing.
I like it when you
Informational
call it informational briefing.
Well,
That's like the nice way to say oversight, right?
I have to say that whatever the administration is doing right now, it's obviously they're spending more time trying to cover this up than moving forward and providing this federal funding needed to those people out. And they are doing a great job of doing that, but if they could just answer these unanswered questions and provide us not individuals to speak to us and come to our public hearings and come to our informational or oversight hearings to allow them to come on and speak to the people. I think they're forgetting that they work for the people.
I think
You
one
know,
of the
they're
things
paid
that
for by the people of Guam.
that threw me
Let's
for a
give it
loop was
away.
the use of the executive privilege. But we have Lieutenant Governor Josh on the line, so we'll go ahead and move on over to him. And
Yeah, and please give him, or if he's listening, Lieutenant Governor, thank you so much for always taking my calls and answering my questions. I greatly appreciate. If there's one thing that I have a connect with, it's with the Lieutenant Governor of Guam, who does take the time to answer these questions. I really appreciate that.
all right, well,
So,
yeah.
well, looking forward to giving you some more information once session is begun. And if there's anything else I can do, please feel free to call. Take care. God bless, and create a great day.
All right, wash your hands,
Thank you.
Senator. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, 7:44.